So welcome all. This is our sixth meeting. We had been doing it for last 5 times. So let's start. I have good amount of questions for today, and let's see what's in there today. It's majorly today. I see most of the question around Azure functions. I didn't knew everything, but I did some research and came out with whatever help I can do in today's session. And if a deep dive is required, I can surely go in and research more on it. This is how we are trending. People are registering for sure, but I think they're not able to make it, which is okay. I'm still okay having one person here and talk about it. And the first thing that I want to talk about today is the other Business Central or nav things that are happening and are available for everybody to join. And one of the things that I'm doing for a while, and I thought to share it with everybody, is called BC webinar. This is as you can see, is sponsored by NavTech Days. It's a 2-hour meeting where I sometimes see most of the MVPs or some of the MVPs, and they talk about things like source control, Git. I guess in the last meeting they talked about reporting, Power BI in the last meeting, and those are not structured way. It's just open talks, and anybody can present as far as I know if you have content, but it worth going there if you want to. Just search for BC webinar on Twitter. You'll find the previous meetings, and you'll also see a registration link. And registration is required for every meeting. Currently, the pattern is that these meetings are happening every 2 weeks on Friday, and for Indian people, it's in Friday nights. But it's pretty well, as in if you want to go more deep into AL and specific topics that are being discussed, I would recommend to go and attend there. So just search for this on Twitter and you'll surely find something. I'm not sure that they are being recorded or not, but I don't see any recording. So you might have to attend and then see what's being discussed there. The another thing that is a upcoming conference, and here's the registration link, dynamicscon.com/register. It's on September 9 and 10, as it says. And today is the last day for voting. And as an individual, as I said earlier, you can go and vote for 12 topics from different presenters. And you will see all of the known names in Business Central or Nav space will be presenting there. It's free, and it's virtual, so you don't have to travel anywhere. You don't have to pay fees or anything. You can just go and register there and vote for the session that you would like to attend. And there will be some decision made based on how people are voting those sessions. So if you haven't done it, today is the last day. Go ahead and get it done. So now let's come back to the questions that I had, and if time permits, I'll surely take some questions as we go forward. Steve is here, and Steve is also presenting in DynamicsCon. So hey Steve, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm not presenting yet. Everyone has to vote, and we'll see how the sessions come out. So I've submitted a session, so we'll see.
Sure. So yeah, if you haven't, go ahead and register, and the voting last date is today. Go ahead and vote for sessions that you'd like to attend, and then we'll see what happens after that. So here are some questions that came, and I tried to answer most of them, but if something is left out, feel free to add another question, and maybe in next meeting I can go deep into it. So the first one is from Shiva, and Shiva says that he's using Business Central 14 on-prem and VS Code on the system, and he just want to know how to start VS Code and do basic configuration to start creating table, pages, or report from scratch. So BC14. Okay, so Shiva, what I would suggest is for BC14, there are some settings that you'll have to check. So let me share my screen, pull this here. So on BC14, the first thing, because it's still a CAL word, you need to make sure that in your development tab, you have the developer endpoint enable and enable symbol application, loading application symbol at the start. These two should be enabled because it's a mixed mode environment where CAL and AL both exist. So it's mandatory to set it on Business Central 14. So that's the first thing that you need to do, because you said, how can I start? And then once that is done, let me find my VS Code if I can. Here it is. So let me build a new one. You'll open your VS Code, you will install your AL extension, which is AL language. You can come into the extension window, search for it, and then install it, AL language extension. And once you have done that, choose your, or maybe I'll close this. You understand what I mean by that. So using the command Control Shift P, and there should be a detail about it somewhere here. You can access the command palette, Control Shift P, and then use ALGO. Then choose the path where you want to save your extension. And then next is choose the platform. And it follows the same version names as they are being released, like 5.0 for Business Central 16, if you want to call it, 2020 release wave 1, 4.0 for BC15, and then 3.0 for BC14. So if you are BC14, then choose 3.0. The next question that will ask you that where you want to connect. So you are surely connecting to your local environment in this case, based on your question. So choose your own server. And then you can skip the username thing because it's on-prem, so I'm assuming that it's Windows authentication. Once all this is done, system will create a launch.json, app.json, and a hello world AL. So to start with, you'll see that there are some problems right now in your extension. And to fix that, you'll have to update some settings like your authentication. In my case, it's Windows. So I'll change it to Windows, and you identify that method here on your service tier, that what authentication mechanism you are using. And then by default, the launch.json assumes that you are using a port 7049, which is true if you are using the Cronus environment that comes with Business Central. But as you are talking about on-prem, you might have changed the port numbers. So in demo installation, you get 70, all these numbers. And for some reason, I had to change them to 7145. But then the Visual Studio Code is looking for port under development tab, which is 7149. And this is the port that is used to talk between your service tier and your Visual Studio Code. So if the port is different, then you need to add a parameter, add a new configuration setting for port and change it to 71, whatever the port number is in your service tier. If it is 7049, you don't have to do this. Once this is done, we'll quickly see that what's in the hello world. We can talk about this in some other day if required, but you'll see that the extension right now doesn't know about the customer list, which is a page in your Business Central database. And this all works based on references of those objects. And in Visual Studio Code, they are called as symbols. So to explain your Visual Studio Code that you are writing against this database or against these symbols, you'll have to download symbol, which are downloaded based on the settings that you have in launch.json, which is which server, which service, what port and all. So then you choose Control Shift P again and choose download symbol, AL download symbol. Once you do that, system will try to access the port and will try to download symbol. And you will see a message like this: symbols have been downloaded. And you will see that 2 files in case of Business Central 14 will be there. And it depends on which version of the product you are using. It can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more based on what type of app you are building. And at this point, you'll see that the error in the hello world is gone. Now it understands that it's a page in your system. And now you can delete this and start writing your extension, whatever you want to write. The other file that comes with this is app.json, and it's kind of your metadata of your app. It doesn't talk about the server or the database that you are writing it against. It's the detail of your app, which contain the name of the app, who's the publisher for this app, what version, and other details. And this is just about your app, not about your customer or your database. And from here, you can begin and start writing your AL objects that you need. Anybody who is here have any questions around it? Or can I move forward? I hope no. So let's move ahead. The second question was interesting, and this is from Manish, and I haven't used Power App, but I did some research yesterday on it, a little bit of it, to see how you create Power Apps with Business Central Cloud or even on-prem version. And the interesting thing is, earlier, if I remember, in the nav world, they were talking to your database using web services. And with Business Central on-prem or cloud version, they are talking using APIs. So there are some default APIs which are exposed in the database from Microsoft. And then you can also create new APIs if you wanted. So let me see if I can find the window where I had where I tested it. I guess, no, this is it. I think so. Okay. So here is one of the Power App. Not this, I guess. I had multiple windows open. Yeah. Okay. So here is the Power App window. I tested it today. Not went so deep into it, but I was able to identify that it runs based on your APIs, and there are some default APIs that comes with base Microsoft release. So when I come to Power Apps and I look for other data sources, you'll find all the data sources that Power Apps support, and you will surely see one for Business Central, or 2 for Business Central, and 1 for Dynamics Nav. So if you don't have a connection, you'll go here, you can choose Business Central for SaaS, Business Central on-prem for on-prem, and then there is one for Dynamics Nav also still there. So I already have a connection with my Business Central SaaS one. So this, on SaaS environment, it will not ask you for the details because it reads it based on your email ID. And then you can choose the data set. I'm choosing Cronus USA. And then it lists down all the APIs that are available in your database. So if there are custom APIs that you have built, they will be available. And somebody had a question? I thought I heard some.
No, sir.
Okay. So the cool thing that I found out that you can also add new one when you add a API in via AL code or writing new API objects. But at the same time, when you use any of the base one, the Power App is able to understand what data this API is generating and gives you a kind of a build app just for your demo. And then I'm pretty sure if you want to go deep into it, you'll surely see how you add new things or how you do certain stuff. But this gives you a view like this, which is, let me preview this. Yeah. So this is giving me a list of my items at this point. So let's quickly go and see items on my tenant. And there are all these items which are available. So let me preview this. And let's try to add an item. Let's say demo 1st August. And then I can click yes. And I'm hoping that this will get created there. Let me search it here. Demo. Refresh. Okay. 1st August. Is it looking for the whole name? Let me see in nav or Business Central. Let me refresh this page. It actually creates that item in your Dynamics nav or Business Central environment. So let's see. I'll have to change my view list. And let's look for, oh, here it is. Demo 01 August, which is just created. Let's filter that here. I'm pretty sure it's case sensitive, I guess. Let me search the item. No, doesn't like me. Let me, sorry. Preview it again and remove this. Let's see. So it's not able to search, but I can surely see it. And I'm pretty sure something need to be done here to make it work, but you can do basic stuff from this sample app that's available. You can also delete that item, and that item should go away from here also. If I go back, and that's gone from here also. And I'm pretty sure, Manish, at this point you'll be, you can drill more how it's connecting, what are those settings,
Right.
what are detail screen, what is edit screen, and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was cool to find it out and research on it today. So that was fun. Thanks, man, for that question.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the next question again from Manish is about Azure Functions. An app is used, and you just wanted to understand the basic concept about it.
Right.
And I haven't created an Azure function, but I'm sure I have surely used some of the Azure functions which are available. They some of them are free, some of them are paid. But it's a solution that runs on Azure platform, and it's a small piece of code that you want to write, but you don't care about the infrastructure where it'll run and things like that. And then you can use these Azure functions to talk to your Business Central. So the main thing that I've seen where I've used it is the features are not used, but I've seen where other developers have built it is around the things that are not possible in Business Central. Like you cannot use .NET automations or .NET controls there.
Right.
Like it was possible earlier in Dynamics Nav Word, where you can write your code in C# and things like that, and then add it as a control add-in. So while researching about it, I actually found a lab from Microsoft which talks about Azure functions specifically. It goes through a series of step where it tells you how you create a Azure environment, sign in for it, then build your a .NET DLL, and then use it in Business Central. So it have all the steps, how you create Azure function, and then how you use that Azure function in Business Central, and then it goes through the whole exercise of labs and steps, how it need to be done. So if you want to go deep into it, I would suggest use this. It have all the steps and all.
Surely I'll follow those steps. Yeah, I'll go through that.
Okay, I'll make sure that I add the link into the recording later. But I'll surely visit this someday, but
Okay.
not right now. Right now, my whole time is going with automated tests. So that's my new thing that
Okay.
I'm doing these days.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, going next is from Shahid. And Shahid, are you here? I don't see him, but okay. His question was around file management and specific to that on save file dialog. And I'm pretty sure people in Dynamics Nav has used this function where you get a dialog box to save your file when you want in your custom code. And the people have used it like when they are writing a code where a file is being written by in Dynamics Nav, and then they want user to choose where he want to save it. Now we need to understand when we think about Business Central that it's just not is similar to Dynamics Nav environment, and we all understand it that the Windows client or so-called role tailor client is no longer supported with Business Central, which also means that the code that are tied to your client existence will not be available in your SaaS environment. And one of them is Save File Dialog. Because when you talk about Save File Dialog, then you are expecting to have a client environment where this dialog window will prompt you where you want to save it. But with Business Central, it's a web-based client. You can run it on your phone, you can run it on your PC, but it's not a client environment, it's just a browser. So with browsers, it's hard to understand where you want to save your file. But Shahid, when I was researching about it, I actually found a blog from one of the MVPs, which talks about to solve this problem uh, in the SaaS world. And here's the link of that, and I'll make sure to add this into recording. Stefano, and he talks about how you save a file, and this is again Manish around Azure file environments and all.
Right.
So this code also talks about how you can save a file locally on your machine using Azure and then some of the CAL code. So he have given you all the code there, what needed to be written where, and how you map it. And I'm pretty sure that you should be able to follow these steps, and then kind of simulate the save as feature. So Sahid, hope that answers your question, and let's move to the next one, which is, I guess we talked about it in the last meeting, and I don't know if you are here this week or not. And it seemed a little bit odd.
Yes, sir. I am here.
Okay. So as I
Yeah,
said last
this
time,
was done actually. Yeah, this was done.
okay. Yeah, but because I saw that question, I actually did something so that it makes more sense in this.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you will do it.
No, yeah. This I added last time only. This time I did not add
Right.
it. I added some more.
Yeah, so I was not able to pick it in the last meeting. I guess we talked about it. You asked this as a question,
Yeah.
but this is what I was telling you last time. As in, let's say you have a page where, in this case, the customer number is visible, and then you have a action which whatever you want to do. But let's assume I just want to block customer that is selected by the user. So what I'll do in the case that you want to do is I'll not do it in this fashion. I'll actually create a code unit for it. But just for demo, I'll get that record which is selected by the user, change whatever I want to change, modify that record, and then write a function to open that record. What open record does, it's have a variable for the customer card. It sets the table view of that record that is coming from that function, and then run that customer card. So in this way, that customer record, which is just modified, will get open. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Great.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to see, it's available on my tenant. I can run it.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me try doing that also. But yeah, to others, I don't know how. As in, he's learning it. He's trying to understand how all this work. But I don't, I wrap my brain around this, that what would be a situation where I'll use it. And to tell you the truth, I didn't came up with the situation where I'll use it. But just for his understanding, let's quickly see that. The page is called demo page. So let's see. Okay, so let's look for that demo, or let's first check one of the customer. This customer is set to blocked blank. Okay, so let's go to that demo page and choose a customer, and from action choose block customer, and it'll open the customer as you wanted it, and change. You'll see the change already happened to block to all. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, next one again from Manish, and this is around Microsoft Azure portal, specifically about app services, SQL, database, and functions. So I knew a bit part of it, what is in Microsoft Azure, but I did again some research to understand what all is there in the Azure portal. So it's a cloud computing services service from Microsoft that is used for building, testing, or deploying the application. Microsoft is offering around software as a service called as SaaS, or platform as a service called PaaS, and then infrastructure as a service. So it actually goes into the other order, or into the opposite sequence. The first thing I would say is infrastructure as a SaaS, as a service. It's a base layer which deals with your virtual machines, your storage space, hard disk, servers, networks, and all. And the other thing is platform as a SaaS, which is a layer on top of your infrastructure as a service, where you can have your SQL as platform as a service, Oracle, web servers, and all. And the last layer is SaaS, which is software as a service, which is again a top layer on PaaS, where you get applications like Business Central and others. So I was, trying to find something which would make sense to explain. And then I found this great article which talks about what is the difference between all these terms. And I actually understand it from this diagram.
Okay.
So on-premise solution is kind of owning a car, that you have a car, you have the keys of car, and you are the owner of it. which means you are responsible for anything that happens to car. If you want to upgrade it, you have to do it by yourself, by paying the money or giving it outside. Whereas this lease car, which is as a service, LAS, which is you are leasing a car, and you can drive it anywhere you wish, but it's not your car. You want to upgrade that car, get a new car on lease. You don't have to keep the same car.
Okay.
Then when we talk about platform as a service, then it's kind of your Uber and Olas of the world, where it's a taxi. You don't have to drive it, you don't have to own it. You just need to tell the driver where you want to go and it'll take you there.
Okay.
And then bus, you can relate it to SaaS, where neither you own it, neither you are the single person who's going there, and they have a defined route where they will go. And you can share the ride with other passenger into that, but neither you own it, neither you can upgrade it, neither you are the only person in that space, and it's have a defined path. So that's kind of difference which I like to understand between three different terms of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service.
Okay.
Okay, so like people who have been in jobs for a while, they would have seen in their companies that there is a huge room where ACs will be running all the time. There will be big boxes, servers we call them. So that's your on-premise environment where you are having everything inside your premises. And then if you want to move something on the cloud domain, or then you pick and choose what you want. And it's more flexible because you can add or remove features based on whenever you want it. Like your database is growing, you want more space, you can just order that and it will get added instantly. So it makes it easier there. That's how I would relate it to.
Understood.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so this is the another question that I had, and I guess that's the last question that I'm taking today. There are a few others that I saw or added maybe later when I created the slide. And if you had a question after that, after this, don't worry. We'll try to cover it into the next session. And Manish, all the time that I have used third-party APIs consumption in Business Central, it's using HTTP client request. So I'm not sure that there are other ways that you can deal with. Maybe when you research about Azure functions, you may think that they will be able to do it by passing it from Business Central to them. But instead of passing a misinformation, I would not go further into it, and I'll say that I haven't used it other than HTTP client. Anytime I have used it is using HTTP client.
Okay. Because I've heard of Azure functions that can be used for in place of HTTP client, so we can use that, but I'm not sure aware about that.
Okay. Yeah, so there are certainly possibilities with Azure function to do your thing outside. And the cool thing when I read about it is that you don't have to worry about any other piece. You just need to worry about the function that you are writing. And then whosoever is trying to call it, he owns the responsibility of sending you the right parameter, and you are just responsible to get that value, process it, and then send it back to the callee function. So that makes complete sense to me, to spend time over there and then kind of go more into it. So as we are not taking more questions, I'll open it for questions if anybody have. And I know, Amandeep, you have problems with your mic. If you have a question, you can type in chat window, and I'll keep an eye on it. Then Keshav, you have your hand raised, so let's start with from you.
No, sir, I don't have any question.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. And who is next from B? I might misspell your name, so it starts with
It's
B.
Bandar.
Oh,
Bandar.
Bandar. Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'd have surely
Yeah. So
misspelled it.
you can call me with my second name like Srinivas.
Oh, yeah, that's simple.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Srinivas,
really,
any questions?
yeah. So related to like this APIs only, what Manish is asked, like third-party APIs. So if I want to send that some encryption data to my third-party API, so how can we do that inside the business center?
Yeah, and I guess that was one of the question that you already added, right? Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah. That added.
share half-baked information, but this is what I know. That I don't know about the APIs as an encryption within APIs, but I know that you can encrypt your data within Business Central and some versions of Dynamics Nav also. So there is an encryption management available in Dynamics Nav and Business Central that you can use. Let me see if I can find my client where it is. Maybe this, yeah. So if you go into encryption management, data encryption management, there is a way that you can enable the encryption and then write your key and things like that. So it'll generate a key when I enable it. And let me see if I can do it here. I've done it in Nav for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not here. So let me find my Docker environment to test it out. Okay.
Yeah, I will tell you my requirement. Like, suppose think that I have one data, hello world, welcome. So that is my statement. So within the from business central to the any third party application, when I'm sending the data, so I want to encrypt this information and send to the that API.
Agreed. So what I'm saying is that you can enable the encryption here. This is what I know. And to your request, I actually wanted to test it out first and then tell you. But the way I understand it is when you have your encryption enable in Dynamics Nav or Business Central, then go and check how encryption work in, let's say, in case of your SMTP password. So let me give you a reference. In NAV 2009, the only thing that that the way you can hide your password is you used to set that property password field, or yeah, there was a property which used to show star symbol when you type a value. But as a system administrator, if you go to SQL and run that table, you'll see the actual value. That was in the past. Now in Business Central 14, I'm sure, and going forward, when you type a password, that gets encrypted using data encryption management in the base product also. And that data is decrypted based on requests. And the best example that I'll tell you to go and research more is SMTP setup password. So whenever you try to send an email, there will be a code segment about decrypting that password which is stored in that setup field, and then use it to send that email. So it's not even visible from the backend. If you want to go and check on SQL Server, you'll see an encrypted value there. So now I know this, and then I'm assuming that if you have a data which you will follow and encrypt it using the data encryption management, which is in Nav and Business Central, and then send it to your using your APIs, I'm assuming that that data will go as encrypted, and then the other party will have to use the same key which you have in your Dynamics Nav or Business Central to decrypt that data. And that's why I said I didn't added that question, because I haven't tested this out. But I'm pretty sure that if the data is encrypted in Nav, that's possible to encrypt the data in nav or Business Central Word, but I'm not sure what happens when you expose that data to a API. So that part I'll have to check. That if I create a field in let's say item table and encrypt it while the value is entered, and then if I try to consume it using Postman, what data I see, because that's what will verify that is that data going encrypted or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's what exactly I'm expecting. And one more, so which type of encryption is Business Central Inside is using? Is there any specific name for that? Like we have so many encryption tech mechanisms we have.
I'm pretty sure Microsoft will have written about it. The central data encryption, data in Business Central. So here is some detail that can tell you more about it. The method that cryptography provides services that enable developer to encrypt single encryption key. They provide to assist robust system. And I guess for the method I'll have to find it out exactly because it's not written here. Let's try it out. What encryption method is used in Business Central? Business Central data encryption algorithm. Now, somebody had a question, and you can system.encrypt. Okay, desired algorithm. Okay, you can use encrypt, but in these cases, remember to call as your function to encrypt data. I'll surely have to research more about it, but okay, there is a CodeUnit cryptography management for Business Central 15 or 1266 encryption management for previous. I'll have to check what encryption method are used in the base Business Central environment.
Yeah, so if you also provide any like with any sample application with the Postman also, so that is a great helpful to us.
Okay, man, I'll surely test it out and let you know if I find something. Because it's not something that you use daily. It's certain companies may need it, and then you build things around it. So I'll surely check about it. If I find something, I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, Jignesh, you have any questions?
No, sir. Right now, no.
Okay. Manish, anything else?
Uh, yes, sir. One more thing. Uh, there's a session timeout in client, NAV client. So, is there any session timeout for web, NAV web that we use? Can we control that, or can we define it?
So either it's the web client or the Windows client. The settings are read from the service tier,
Uh,
and
I,
I don't think that there is a different setting for. And let me check if I find something. Yeah, you had something else. You're saying something.
yeah, I was just saying that I found that in the administration setting that we can set it for client only. I haven't seen anything for the web. So
No,
that's what I'm confused where I can set it.
no. So the client means client. It is not saying you to be specific to the Windows client. You know what I'm saying? Client is an entity. Either it's Windows or web. It's just a client.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that the settings are same. But if they are not, then you can surely find settings around your business, about your modern client in this area, which is your CINET pub www, and this is on your application service tier. If there are any setting, which I don't assume there will be, then that will be here in this nav setting file. Okay, let's see. We have opened it. We have time. So let's see timeout. The session timeout right now set to 20 minutes or 20 hours. And let's see what's in our service tier. Session timeout. I can surely check that. That should not be a big deal to check that which one takes precedence. But this is the second thing that I'm seeing here, the session timeout, which you can use
Okay.
in the nav settings of your web server.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Hey Tanya, hope the article was helpful that you were looking for last time.
Yeah, it was really very helpful and it did work. And I didn't know about the last thing you mentioned in the last, that you have to uncheck some parameter.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
was weird.
I didn't know about that, but it was very helpful. And because of that, even I got stuck. And
Okay.
then I disabled it. And then I disabled it and did work. But I don't know actually that I didn't read about the parameter though. But
I
yeah,
think it's around because we are using a verified license, you know.
oh,
So that is around certificate validation. That means it need to come from an authority like GoDaddy or someone else, where that license can be verified.
and yours
So
was working. Yeah.
So I actually found it by looking at the config file of my Docker, because Docker uses username password. So when I compared the config file of my Docker environment with my local installation, then I saw that Boolean was disabled on the Docker, because Docker also uses the free license that you can generate by yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
And yours was as in it was a global, as in global IP, right? It was working out because mine was working as a local host. Inside, it was
Uh,
working inside the domain.
so it is, no, mine was also local. Mine was
Okay.
only on my machine. I haven't tested it outside.
Okay, it
But
was only on your machine, right?
yeah, but what I have done in past, and I'm sure there will be an article about it somewhere, that you can create a separate type of free certificate that you can again use it within the domain, not outside, but within the domain, not on the same machine and all. And
The
I'm pretty
only
sure it's also public IP, but you'll have to share that certificate file with the people who want to access it.
and the only thing, the difference I did was I created an free as a free self certificate, right? Self signed
Right.
certificate from the IS, and
Okay.
yeah.
I always use that certification PowerShell command to
Oh,
generate
yeah,
that certificate.
yeah, yeah. The difference was there, and yeah, it helped me a lot. I was able to, that worked out pretty well.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. And
Anything else?
yeah, actually, I wanted to ask regarding the Docker as well. So, after downloading the image, if I have any extension installed, so I need to
Mm-hmm.
also sync the extension on my Docker, the container basically.
Yeah, if you want to, have the extension published inside Docker, then yeah, you'll have to kind of publish them, right?
So yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm reading it daily regarding the Docker. So new things are coming up. But yeah, I didn't know about that. If I have some extension XYZ, so
Mm-hmm.
so I want to run it on the Docker as well. So this is a different procedure basically to
No, so you can always find this command called import, oh sorry, install app nav container app.
Yeah, I was reading about this.
So it's already there in the part of that Freddy's nav
Yeah.
container helper. There is the app name, app version, and the container where you want to install it.
Okay, so here in the app name, I would exactly fill that XYZ.
So this is this is installed. So first you'll have to publish that, right?
Okay.
Publish
Yeah.
nav app, nav container app. So you
Okay.
can give the app file,
Right.
which is the file path,
Path.
container name, and
Okay.
what you want to do. Just the publish or install also, so it will run it behind the scene. And all these parameters are there, as in replace
And
dependencies, scope, and all.
okay. And one more thing, when you were downloading the container, as in you were creating the container, there's a parameter called update host. Because I have done so much of R&D on the networking part, what I could figure out was there is something related to update host that
Update
changes the
host
potential.
doesn't. Yeah, it changes the file here in your drivers folder and add the mapping of your container into your host file. That's all it does.
Okay.
So it will update this is my Docker container, so it adds this line. So this is my Docker.
Okay. All right.
So it will add this line, and with that what happens is that, like in networking you do, when you
Yeah.
are not able to connect to a server, you come and you add the entry into the host file.
Into
So
the
that's
host.
what it does. Yeah.
Thank you. This is really very helpful.
Okay. Hey Vinod, any questions?
Nothing, sir. Thank you. I have a question which is Manish was asked for session killing for user.
Okay. So does that answer yours also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Srinivas, I guess you had something else because you're raising your hand, I see.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Good.
So in Business Central, we have add-on apps and then connected apps, right? Uh,
Connected apps.
yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So I heard something that add-on app is nothing but it is sitting as an extension inside the Business Central and it will communicates. And as a service app means it will uses the Business Central APIs and it will communicate with third-party applications like that. But I hear from Microsoft somebody telling like Microsoft is using cost for each and every request in the service apps related. Is it true?
So I don't know what the service app is. I'll actually have to search about it. What is a service
Yeah.
app?
Yeah,
But
it's a connected app. Connected apps.
connected app, yeah, connected app. There, anything that you do on SaaS, okay, there are two different models of pricing. One is pay as you go, as in whenever you consume it, then you pay for it. And one is a fixed monthly fee, subscription fee. Like your users in Business Central are charged per user cost, whatever the different options are per month. Okay. And then there is another way of pricing on SaaS model, which is pay as you go. So like there are APIs for, let me give you an example. What is a common API? Yeah, image analyzer in Nav or Business Central. So when you search for this called image analyzer setup, image analysis setup, you need to use this computer vision API. Okay. Now this is free for a certain period of time, I guess 30 requests or something like that. And this API reads the image of your item or contact and then tells you that is it a male at between this age and all. And they charge you based on, I guess they charge you based on how many queries you do. So it's based on what type of service you are using, and then they all have different kind of pricing behind it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, there is not a flat way of saying that this is how all of these works. Like if you create a Azure function, which let's say, which is used in warehouse to scan items. Okay. Now you as a owner of that Azure app or as your function decide how much and which model you want to go for pricing. So there are services that may be free, there are services which may be paid, and there are services which have different options of pricing. So it's all about who is writing about them and then making it available for the community.
Okay.
So yeah, connected apps. That's good to know. Let's search about it. There's so much happening that it's hardly any time to.
Yeah. So actually, while publishing our apps in the Microsoft App Store, so there are two kinds of. It is asking an option like which type of app you are going to upload. So is it an add-on app or is it a connect app? Like that, one option is there actually. So I thought that connected app it is purely using the web services only. That's what I have a doubt. Like if I am using the services, then it will charge in future to my customers also. So that's why I have a doubt in mind whether I should go always for the add-on app or I should go for the connected apps like that.
As in, I don't know what you're building, but if it's a customization for a certain business area, that will be an business central app or an extension per se.
Yeah. So let us think that. So we are building a connector apps actually between the e-commerce and the ERP systems actually. So let us assume Business Central is an ERP agent, and we have like BigCommerce, OverCommerce, SanaCommerce. They are something like e-commerce related thing. So we are sitting as a bridge middle between the two systems, and we are synchronizing the information around the two agents actually. So in this scenario, so actually we build an app next to the app. So it will communicate from their Business Central system and their e-commerce system. So that we built and we published in the Microsoft App Store, and we are also searching some of the blogs. It is also possible to connect service apps, but I heard about the pricing part about this.
Okay. And there is so much happening. I guess everybody will have to do something around it. Things. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? I'll keep it open now. Nothing. Okay. So yeah, I'm spending time these days around automated testing. And I'm reading Luke's book and actually doing it these days because I think in the future, not in the future, still today, people who are writing AL code and all, automated testing is something is kind of be a part of your daily work. So it's it's super cool that how you can write your test and and how good you feel whenever your test caught your programming errors. So it's seriously fun. If you have a thought about it, go ahead and read the book and spend some time in writing tests around your AL functionality. You can even do it in CAL, but it's more easier to do it in AL than CAL. But super interesting. I had paused so many things that I was doing just to read more about automated testing. So yeah. So yeah, if there is nothing else, I guess we are good for today. And I'll make sure that all the links that we have talked about during this meeting, I'll make sure that they be available in the recording once it gets uploaded. And I see a chat. Let's see, is it a question? Oh, Amandeep. Okay. Link of the book. Okay, so let me see. I bought it from Amazon 8 months or a year ago. And let me see if I find that link. Okay, where is it? Okay, yeah. It's automated testing in Microsoft Dynamics 65 Business Central. And there should be a book. Yes, packet. Amazon also have it. Yeah. Okay, let's go here. So this is the book, and I bought it before this Corona thing happened, but I was busy on other things, reading about something else and all. And it, you might get confused if you don't actually start trying it on the things that you are building. So I would prefer that you have an extension which you want to write automated tests, and I normally understand by writing them in actual environment. So when I'm stuck, I go back to the book, I understand the concept of it, and then start writing that test. So I don't go into reading the book completely and then start using it. I actually start using it, and then when I get stuck, I go back and read about it. So yeah, that's a pretty good book. If you are into automated testing, which I am now, so anything that I write in AL now, it's with a test. So spend your time if you want. And here's a book. I don't know what's the price in Amazon and all. When I bought it, there was
So
a
I have one question here.
Yeah.
I have one question on this testing part wise. So mainly we write that test cases, everything for our AL functions. This is for our conformity whether I am passing all the positive and negative scenarios cases, right?
Right.
Yeah, and where can I find these kind of statistics like my test cases are completely covering the all my code? Is there any missing part in my code? Like that, is there any statistics it will provide?
No. So there is a slight difference which I'm understanding now, because I have already been reading it for 2 weeks, and the methodology changes a little bit when you do automated testing. And I can be completely wrong, but this is what I follow. If I have to build an app, what I do is first I'll build the skeleton of app by writing the fields that I need in different tables, or if I have table extensions, just field, no code. So I'll decide that I need these 3 tables, I need these 5 fields in these tables. And once my skeleton of that app is ready, then I stop working on app, and now I start writing my test. Because if you write test after you have written your code, then your test will always pass, because you have a reference what you are testing. Okay. So just to give you an example, I have a custom field on my sales order, and I want to make sure that that field have a value before somebody release that sales order. Simple scenario. So what I'll do is I'll first add that field into my sales order table, a sales order table, and then come to my test and write test around it. Because if I write the code first, then I'll try to write the test while reading or thinking about that code which I have already written. So I think that once your skeleton is ready, the first thing you need to do is write your test, thinking around the business process, that okay, this is needed in this case. So what are the cases that I can think of once I added that field in my sales order table? That okay, the customer requirement is that the field should only have value if it is type order. So let me make a case that is there a value when it is order? And then as a business central person, I know that the sales order is the same table used for quotes, invoice, and other things. So then I'll write some destructive test, which is this value is set when the type is quote or invoice? So once I have written all my tests based on the field that I created or the functionality that was requested by customer, then I'll go back and write my code as a developer. Otherwise, these two should be two different people. One who is writing test, who haven't seen the code that is written by developer, and then the other person don't know what you have written, but he is writing test based on customer expectation, not based on your code. So either two people do it, or if one person have to do it, then you first have to write your test and then write your code. So yeah, it's
Okay.
so yeah, if you have already have an app ready and you build that app, then you are not the right person to write the test. Then you need to give a customer requirement to another developer and tell him to write test around this. And I'll give you my table extension and tables where these field exists so that you can compile your code. But I'll not show you my code. You write based on this customer requirement what kind of test you want to write. And then I'll run your test on my code. So initially, I also thought what you're saying, that, I don't know what all this tested. Is it covering everything or not? And then after my third or fourth test, I started thinking from other direction and changed the approach that I was following. So it's super interesting how, how new things that you try change the way you code. And that's very important going forward.
Yeah, what you are following is a good thing, but if you can see the DevOps process and everything, in the DevOps process, what it will give means it will check the entire code and it will run the test cases, whether the all test cases is passing or not, or it will cover all the main app code base, it is covering all the lines or not. Like that, it will give the report like that actually. So in that we can see that, yeah, please.
But it doesn't give you what areas it covered. Like, so if your test is limited in my previous example only to test for sales orders, it will tell you that you have 5 tests and all 5 of them are passed, or 2 of them are passed and 3 failed. But that result is based on what type of test you have written.
Yeah, correct.
Right? If you have written one test, it will say 100% pass based on one test. So it's, Azure DevOps makes it easy to, kind of execute them behind the scene and things like that. But if you want to foolproof the automated test process, then you will have to write your test first.
Yeah.
And then forget about test and write your app as a developer, and then combine both of them and then see what breaks.
Yeah.
So yeah, super interesting. I'm super into it right now. I'm not looking into anything else right now. So
yeah, actually we are doing the reverse process actually. First we are developing that one, based on that one we are writing these kind of test cases.
Yeah, that was what I did on my first 2 test exercises that I built for myself, that let me try doing this. And then I thought it doesn't make any sense, because the test that I'm writing is around the code that I have written, and I'll not be able to think destructively, because the core of a tester is his role or his job responsibility is to break things. He's not supposed to think from a constructive side. His only responsibility is to break what developer is writing.
Exactly.
So not crazy, but based on the scope of customer requirement. So I cannot be both the person if I write my code first. First, I need to fill the role of tester, where I have to see the customer requirement, write my test, and then say, okay, now I'm done with writing tests. Now I'll be a developer and write my code. So yeah, that's how it is.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We went a bit ahead,
Good,
but
sir.
Yeah, we don't have any other questions
Thank you, sir.
make it
Thanks.
prolong. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.